Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 4th of December. So looking at the euro dollar, and well, it would appear that we're heading down towards that monthly pivot. I think we may find a bit of a slowdown of that, but it's the sell-off through the late Asian session here in the last hour has seen us forget about the gap, the weekly pivot, the daily pivot, and as I say, sell off. However, that may be put right. We're just sort of sitting around some support at the moment. Okay, it's into the S3 and that's going to disappear soon, but we'll just see how we run post 8 o'clock, whether this is the reasoning for this stronger sell-off. I'm not too sure. If anything, we would have expected perhaps a rally through the Asian session there with that gap that's kicking in, but we'll see. For now though, as I said, it's looking weak. If any breakdown of these lows here could push us back down towards that monthly pivot, but with its the signs I'm seeing, the oversold, etc., I do wonder if we'll get a bit more of a bounce and maybe push up towards the sort of back to these sort of levels that we saw earlier on, and maybe the weekly and daily pivots there. Okay, that's the euro. The pound also sold off here. It's put a little on Friday, put a little harami there, just selling off that, heading down. Its weekly pivot was below, so it's just really heading back for that weekly pivot. Really ticked the box almost around the daily pivot as well. So the pound, well, again, sold off there. Do wonder if we will see a bounce likewise here, but I'm a bit more neutral on the pound at the moment. Obviously, Brexit talks holding the pound in its hand at the moment, I guess, to a degree, and then we'll probably hear some more later on and see some volatility on the pound later, maybe even the euro on that basis. Dollar yen, we saw this big gap up, and the gap that sits there is not completely filled either in terms of the closing point. Never managed to fill the gap. The pound, ironically, was the only one that did fill the gap properly. So there's a gap still sitting there, like just inverted euro here, effectively with the daily, weekly pivots below. So we'll see how we run on this. Of course, it's overbought from this the way it's pushed up here to a degree. But as I say, we'll see how we run through this early part of the markets, and if we see a sell-off of these, alternative, I was just looking at the moves here. It is, I mean, it's got into its 4 hour 200, really not given much in the way of clues of where to next if it does start moving. Okay. So look at the Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, well, this is a bit more range bound. There's a little, it almost filled the gap. It's just chopping along really, the Aussie dollar. It's not a pair that I trade much these days intraday. It's maybe finding a bit of support where it's sitting at the moment. Like the other markets, it's come across some either support, resistance, depending on what pairs you're looking at here, and we could see some sort of reversal. So similar picture, just to me less tradable. Canadian dollar strengthened significantly against the dollar on Friday there. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce here, heading back towards maybe the weekly pivot at some point. But at the moment, it's holding its gains a little bit more. You can see the weekly pivot above us here. Still potential for that, and the daily pivot, I think they're pretty close together there actually, side by side, the two pivots. So there is that potential for them to push up at that at some point. But at the moment, well, does look like it. If anything, it may roll back down towards Friday's lows there. That's pretty much it for me on the technicals there. Not the easiest when we see these big moves through the Asian session, and it is worth being patient. News-wise today, we've got the construction PMI coming out at 9:30 on the pound. Of course, we've got the Eurogroup meetings kicking off through the day, and we expect in May we'll be meeting the head of the committee to discuss about Brexit. So we'll see how things go on there. So there is some potential volatility out there, mainly surrounding the pound, I would suggest, but the Eurogroup meetings may kick out something. They're running all day long though. Okay, that's it for me. Have a good one. Bye for now.